oneness. There's this idea that the oneness wanted to understand and know itself, and therefore it projected an image of itself. You know, like we see the moon reflected in a lake. There was an image projected out of the oneness. And then out of the oneness, instead of one, there were two. And in the two-ness, and so these two, that was the birth of duality. That was the birth of seeming separation, seeming away from the oneness. But the beautiful thing is that when the two are overlapped, whether it's a positive and negative electrical vibration, whether it's male or female, whether it's night and day, black and white, what emerges in that overlap is this most sacred of places that's called the Vesica Pisces. And the Vesica Pisces is the place where there is this emergence of life that's a little bit expressive of the unity, of the consciousness of unity. In here we see that there's created two more points, kind of like children, two more points of light. And those points of light themselves then emanate vibration. And so you have 4 circles. And with all those circles overlapping, you get another little form that's called the first petal. And as the circles replicate and duplicate, you get the flower of life. That's called the flower of life. And that flower of life again replicates and repeats, and you have this great explosion like fireworks. And what is created is this larger flower of life. And we see this symbol in very special places all over the world, for example, in Egypt on the pillars and other places. So I wanted to share that development because out of the Vesica Pisces comes all the forms. So the Platonic solids that I'm going to talk about later. So 5 very special forms that encompass all of creation in those forms. But let's have a look at how those forms get shown, get reflected in our very own beautiful earth. So for example, this time of year, we often see these little maple keys. And that's very much shaped like a little petal. And at the end is seed that's also very much shaped like a little petal. And nature, being the incredible intelligence that it is, when the wind blows the key spirals off to its perfect destination, where hopefully it meets the exact perfect conditions for a beautiful maple tree to grow. So that motion of spiraling is also a sacred geometry phenomenon. We see that spiraling nature from the galaxies, the great spiraling galaxies. We see it in the spiraling development of hurricanes as they go across the ocean. We see spiral in our own DNA. The spiral is replicated everywhere. It's a key part of nature's expression, the expression of the oneness as it moves and creates. So again, in nature, we have a beautiful spiraling show of a gosh, I'm going to forget the name of what that is. But anyway, hopefully you can see the spiral. And here is an example of a flower with almost exactly the same, like they could have stamped that on there. It's so perfect. And of course, all the petals of the flowers reflecting the petals of the oneness. We have the spiral example in the shell. We have a spiral example in another shell where the outer parts have been worn away, but inside we see the perfect spiraling. And its measurement, the measurement that mathematicians can do in terms of angle and arc and so on, again, is the same as every other spiraling form. We have some other examples here with a shell with 5 beautiful petals. And this is a petrified sand dollar, again with 5 beautiful petals. And on it goes. The examples in nature are absolutely everywhere. And it's one of the main reasons why I just adore sacred geometry. Because it means every time I go out, whether I'm in the city or the country, there is sacred geometry everywhere. In the trees, in the flowers, in the maple keys. It's a very uplifting and beautiful thing. So let's move on now to the 3 areas that I want to talk with you about, which is the vibration, measurement, and form. So in terms of vibration, I'd like to go back for a little bit to the second session that I did where I started to talk about the Veda, the Vedic civilization, 5,000 to 7,000 years ago, maybe longer. And you may recall that I spoke about the Vedas being referred to as that eternal knowledge, and that eternal knowledge was received in meditation, in deep meditation, by the Vedic practitioners who were so devoted to raising the consciousness of humankind. And in those deep meditations, they received knowledge in the form of vibration, mantra, and devotional songs. So that vibration, that song of the universe, that harmony of the spheres is something that has been passed down and available to our understanding through the Vedic knowledge, which has influenced deeply Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism. So I wanted to show you an example here, which is a beautiful embroidery that was done by the Chipibo people, actually, in the Amazon. So this is a tribe that's lived there for a very long time. And this is an example of their artwork. And it, you can see, has a sense that they're putting down an embroidery, a vibrational reality that they know intimately, that they all do. The woman can do this, and there can be 3 or 4 different women working on it, and they know exactly where it's going because they understand the language, that language of vibration. In the Vedic culture as well, we have this ancient example of a sacred symbol called the Sri Yantra. I have a bigger one here that I can show you. The Sri Yantra, which is made up of triangles. Triangles is one of those, the first units of light emerging from the Vesica Pisces. It's a building block, the triangles. And this Sri Yantra is to represent the vibration of Om, which is considered the first vibration that caused creation, or is the sound that comes as part of the oneness. It also served to represent more than 10,000 female deities. So it's the divine feminine represented here as well, as part of the emergence of the Vesica Pisces. So here we have, and I got this at the Garden of Light. You know, there's just no place like here to get these really special items, I have to say. So this is an amazing hanging that captures so many. I don't know how I can show this to you, but all of these incredibly powerful geometric designs are ancient and beautiful. And just as the Tibetans moved the cylinders with Om Mani Padme Om, knowing that that vibration goes out into the world, similarly, sacred geometry figures carrying immense representation of the light of Creator. These are beautiful things to have in your home because they're giving a vibration of wholeness, of oneness, of harmony, and unity. And so the last I want to show you in the area of vibration is this. It's a study it's a field of study that's called sematics. And what it is looking at the relationship between vibration and form. So, for example, they take an empty drum and they put a taut piece of fabric, oftentimes of animal skin, and then they put magnetic filings on it randomly, and they introduce a sound, a vibration, sometimes a high-pitched sound like the kind of sound a violin can reach. And those magnetic filings self-organize into geometric forms. So it's a very interesting thing to reflect on, that a demonstration of how sound and vibration actually creates form. So I wanted to show you also some other little examples here in terms of the universality of some sacred geometry forms. So for example, the ancient Celtic civilization, which also thrived for thousands of years all over Europe and of course the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. So the spiral, this spiral is a replica, of course, of the Newgrange, famous Newgrange sacred site in Ireland. It's called the Triple Goddess. And also to show how, you know, global a thing it is on our earth, that civilizations have expressed their knowledge about vibration, sound, the earth, the elements, so similarly. So this is an example of a Navajo beading, and again, of course, beading, a universal activity for indigenous peoples, for all of our ancestors. So here you have a triangle with arrows pointing up and pointing down, pointing east, pointing west. And when you think of it, you know, a cube, which actually is the form that represents the earth in the Platonic solids, when you turn a cube up so that the points are up and down, it forms a diamond. So this was a very clever way of showing that there was dimension and activity here. And then there's this lovely pendant from Ethiopia, which is almost exactly the same, made out of metal, but actually could fit right over on top of the one of the Navajo. And it's been etched to identify the arrows on each up and down, left and right. So a very interesting thing. Sacred geometry is everywhere. You find it absolutely everywhere. So, okay, one last little bit. Show and tell. These are from Central America. And again, the diamond with the arrows signifying direction. And this one with the 4 diamonds on each side, the blue 4 diamonds. Now that 4 on 4 could easily represent another sacred geometry foundational piece in the Platonic solids, what's called the Octahedron. So the Octahedron is 4, like a pyramid, with a common base of another pyramid underneath. So the 4 and the 4. And you'll find, if you check out in your neighborhood, any churches, wherever you go, and check out their stained glass, it's always fun because you'll see sometimes 4, you'll see 8, you'll see 3. This is the evidence that those teachings that were passed down to the Masons, the early Masonic temple builders, and worked in the cathedrals and built these amazing places. Embedded in these places was phenomenal sacred geometry. And of course, we have the pyramids themselves, amazing sacred geometry. So I want to move on now to the second part to talk to you about tonight, which is the area of measurement. So measurement is perhaps the most commonly known because it's the area that's utilized the most, and that has to do with what's called the golden mean, the divine ratio, the Fibonacci code, the Fibonacci sequence. So I don't have the time this evening to go into describing all of those, but if you check out that YouTube channel of Charles Gilchrist's, he's got that covered beautifully. Charles Gilchrist is amazing. He's a visionary artist. He loves sacred geometry. He creates the most amazing things and describes complex things in easy to understand ways. So for example, I can show you this. I don't know if it's going to pick up that well, but is that okay? Yeah, great. So over here, this is a famous image of Da Vinci called the Vitruvian Man. And what Da Vinci is demonstrating here is that the golden mean and the golden ratio or divine proportion, that our human body fits beautifully into the whole realm of sacred geometry, because we are formed in a perfect way, in the same way that all of nature is perfect, so is our physical form. And over here, he's captured that spiraling effect. And also, of course, in the middle, the flower of life. And he's titled it 1.6 1.618 to infinity, which is the golden mean. It is the number that comes to awareness with all of these mathematical measurements, with geometry, trigonometry, with physicists and high mathematics. It's a really amazing thing to study and have a look at that. So the third area that I want to talk about has to do with form. And this is where we start to get into the crystals. So form, the Platonic solids. This is the usual Platonic solid kit. And again, here at the Garden of Light, they have some beautiful ones. They have some in amethyst and some in clear quartz. So it's the 5 Platonic solids that form the basis of all creation. So Plato, in around 4th century BC, he had his own mystery school. Pythagoras had his own mystery school. And all these people who spent their lives studying the universe, we can benefit from that knowledge, because now we can actually have in physical form those samples of the five geometric solids. So I want to go through them with you one at a time. I've mentioned it a little bit before now, but let's have a look. So here is the cube. I hope that you can see that. So the cube is 6-sided, and it corresponds, Plato determined that as well, it corresponds to the element of earth. So the vast energy of the element of earth. I mean, think about the element of earth on our beautiful planet. The inner workings of the earth, the outer workings of the earth, the biology of the earth. So in this form, this is to represent the element of earth. The element of water is the second one, and the sacred geometry form for that is called an Icosahedron, and it is 20 triangles. Icosahedron, the element of water. Think of the vast power, the creative power of the element of water. And of course, we have all these elements that are part of us as well, right? We have the earth in our bones, in our minerals. We have the element of water up to 80%. The next one is earth, water, fire. And the Platonic solid for that is called a tetrahedron. And a tetra, meaning 4, it has 4 perfect equilateral triangles. And it corresponds to the element of fire. The next one is the element of air. So our breathing channel, our apparatus, our wind channels. The air is represented by an octahedron shape. So that's with 4 pyramids above and 4 pyramids below. And the last one, the spirit center. Now this one, this particular shape, it's a dodecahedron, which means it's got 12 5-sided faces, a pentagram, but 12 of them. And this form, Plato considered, as it represents spirit, he considered this form so powerful that only the initiated were allowed to view it. So no wonder in a way, because it's representing spirit and it includes all of the other four. So again, back to these sacred geometry displays. Here, this one is called the Metatron's cube. And within this Metatron's cube are those 5 Platonic solids. So a very powerful sacred geometry form. And below here is what's called a tetrahedron. Sorry, not a tetrahedron, a star tetrahedron, which is, where did that little star tetrahedron go? There it is. Beautiful form, which is the tetrahedron, 2 tetrahedrons together embraced in each other. So that forms the star, what's called a star tetrahedron. One tetrahedron inside the other. So this is some of the magic of form in sacred geometry. Beautiful form. So I want to show you now how these forms are represented in the crystal kingdom. How we have examples of these forms. And when I discovered that, I thought it was a miracle. Really, that we have as above, so below. That we have this vast range of activity out of the oneness and manifesting perfectly and beautifully in our own crystal kingdom. So you may remember, if you were at the first class, that I talked about clear quartz crystals and how they have 6 faces, and that is called a hexagon shape. And then I showed you that this is an amethyst point, 6 faces, and underneath is the map, is the blueprint, is the hexagon shape. I don't know if it's being picked up there, but it's a very important shape. And I can show you it in a 2-dimensional way, a hexagram shape. But check this out. This is also from Charles Gilchrist. So he's shaded the hexagram so that the cube is showing. So beautiful, transformative nature of sacred geometry. And so we begin to see, as I'll show you, that the cube is a very important shape in the crystal kingdom. And the cube, you'll remember, actually corresponds to the earth. So perhaps that shouldn't be any surprise. These shapes, of course, have been created and carved and polished by human hands. But these crystals I'm going to show you are from the earth. So fluorite, I've just got 4 to show you here. And then we'll go on to the middle pillar and the meditation. So fluorite, one of my most favorite stones. It comes in so many colors. It comes in purple and green and yellow, sometimes even blue. And this is a sample that is in its early stages, even though it would be millions of years old. But it hasn't had an opportunity yet to form into its greatest potential. So, but as it does start to evolve and change, given the perfect conditions, it starts to show its cubeness coming out. And as it gets stronger and stronger in its perfect conditions for development, the cubes get stronger and clearer so that you see a cluster of cubes. The other interesting thing about fluorite, and here's the beginning of a singular cube where you can see the perfect edging happening. But the other thing is that fluorite has all of this design that feels very electric, and it's very similar to this, this human-made design. Here we are in fluorite. So the thing about fluorite is that it has perfect cleavage in a four-way direction. Now, cleavage means in the crystal kingdom, a line of, like this is an example here. You can see two halves of the one sphere. So if this was to drop and break, it would break along that cleavage. So fluorite has cleavage in four directions. So when it breaks, out comes a perfect octahedron. A perfect octahedron in all different colors and sizes, even down to tiny little baby ones that look like little stars. Fluorite octahedrons, pretty incredible. Another one I want to show you is pyrite. Pyrite. Again, these are terrific stones of transformation because they demonstrate that even the hardest substances have movement and change and development. So pyrite can grow as a pyrite flower, as a circle with perfect circle etched on both sides. Pyrite flower. And pyrite grows more often, we see it this way, as a little cluster. But I didn't know for the longest time that these little pieces here, which I thought were just like points, like regular crystals, are actually cubes. So it's a cluster of cubes. And it also grows singularly. Perfect cubes growing out of the matrix. Nature's amazing. The oneness is amazing. And not finished. Given the opportunity, it actually grows to an octahedron. A pyrite octahedron. Remember the octahedron, the double pyramid shape, one of the Platonic solids, corresponds to air. Another example is apophyllite. Apophyllite is considered the stone for Reiki, for enhancement of the Reiki energy. And you can see why, because it's another example of a perfect pyramid shape. And underneath you can see its cubic origins. So as an enhancement, it's enhanced by virtue, enhancement of Reiki. It's an enhancement by virtue of it being a crystal that naturally amplifies energy and being a pyramid, so double. Who knows how exponentially the amplification is. And of course, the apophyllite grows as well as a cluster of pyramids. Beautiful. You can see the tip here. So it grew like that with this incredible, perfect, clear, shiny pyramids. I don't know if I mentioned that if a cube is turned inside out, it is the shape of a pyramid. So we see the relationship there with hexagon, pyramid, cubes. This is nature's design, the design of the oneness. And was there another? I think that may be it. Yes. Oh, there was another. I thought there was. Magnetite. So magnetite, think the core of our Earth, the beautiful iron core, the magnetic iron core. Magnetism and electricity, a very important feature of the manifestation of creation. A very important feature for our own health, our magnetic nature, our electric nature. That's why water, one of the reasons why water is so important as a conductor, as a natural conductor in our bodies for the magnetic electrical nature. So here we have an example, beautiful sample of magnetite. So naturally magnetic. I always keep it close with a hematite. A hematite is not naturally magnetic, but it self-magnetizes in the presence of a magnetic piece. So here are these amazing, beautiful, shining like a night sky of stars deep in the earth, as above, so below. And magnetite, these are all pyramids, and actually there's one there that's starting to become an octahedron. And here's a sample of a magnetite that grew to an octahedron shape. Also magnetic, of course. Magnetite, oh, maybe not as strong as this one. There we go. So that's just a sample of the beautiful geometric forms that are in our Earth. And now we're going to move on to the middle pillar and explain that a little bit before we do the meditation together. There we go. Okay, so the middle pillar, a meditation that was developed by a man called Israel Regardie. He was born in 1907 in the Ukraine, and he moved with his family to London, England, where he lived a large part of his life, but he also lived in New York City and in Paris. He was a man who was really, really drawn to understand the universe. He studied theosophy, Hinduism, Buddhism, mystical Christianity, mystical Judaism, and he put together, I guess, from the knowledge he had gained, this middle pillar meditation that I've actually adapted it a little bit to include the crystals, to include the Platonic solids. So in the middle pillar, he's created a meditation where we actually communicate and engage with these great forces of creation: earth, water, fire, air, and spirit. And as I've shown, these are the Platonic solids that correspond also to those elements. And so the earth is at the bottom of the feet, and the color is brown. The water element is at the pelvis, and the color is blue. The fire element is at the heart, the fiery heart, the threefold flame. The air or wind channels, the mouth, the nose, third eye, the face, and the throat. And then the spirit above the top of the head. Now it's interesting because having him being a student as well of Buddhism, there is a correlation. There is what's called the five Buddhas, which is part of Avadhuti Yoga. And the five Buddhas in Avadhuti Yoga correspond to these elements. And of course, it's the idea of working with the lower ego self of ignorance and shifting to the higher vibrational qualities of love and compassion and so on, representing each of these areas. So it's a very interesting meditation, and I hope you will enjoy it. So I invite you now to make yourself comfortable, put your feet on the floor, back straight. And if you have a glass of water, it's a good way to start this meditation, recognizing with gratitude the beautiful element of water. And so in having a drink of the water, we start to activate the elements within ourselves and help to enhance that electrical connectivity inside of our bodies. So go ahead and have a drink of water with gratitude and appreciation. All right. Just getting my bowl here. So I invite you now, when you are ready, and if you would like to, close your eyes, focus on your breath, and become aware of where you're sitting. Become aware of your own presence as you sit and watch your breath. Imagine, sense, or feel now that you have a beautiful blue electric light at your feet. And as you breathe in this beautiful electric light and bring it up through all of your bodies, your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual body. Breathe in this beautiful electric light, and as it moves up from your feet, see it filling every crevice, so that every part of your being is immersed in this beautiful electric blue light. And as it moves up your body, filling every crevice, it's like a beautiful cosmic blanket. And as you breathe in this blue light, like a cosmic blanket, it's pulled up over the top of your head. And this blue light brings you a great sense of peace and protection, relaxation, and a lovely sense of health and well-being. Bathe and rest in this beautiful electric blue light for a moment. let's continue now by focusing our attention to a place just below our feet, our connection to the earth, the body of this planet that we walk upon. Let's focus our attention to an orb of brown light, the color of earth and the element of earth. And in the center of the brown orb, at the bottom of your feet, is a clear quartz crystal in the shape of a cube. The cube represents the element of earth, and of every positive experience you've had on earth with the element of earth, remember one now and become one with the element of earth. Maybe remembering a time or place when you felt at one with the earth. Perhaps it was a beautiful walk that you took in the forest, or a beautiful garden. Maybe an experience of sitting on a warm rock or boulder in the mountains, or seeing a crystal or special stone. Become one with the element of earth and sit for a bit with the feeling of the beauty and the strength and the revitalizing force of the element of earth below your feet. And bless that memory, giving thanks for the beauty and the power of the earth within you and outside of you. And send a shaft now of silvery white light from the crystal cube in the center of the brown orb at the bottom of your feet. Send a shaft of white light up to the area around your pelvis, to an orb of beautiful blue light and the element of water. There is a clear quartz crystal, Icosahedron, with its 20 triangular faces inside the blue orb. And of all the positive experiences that you've had with water, remember one now and become one with the element of water. Perhaps it was an experience by a river or a lake, walking in the rain or swimming in the ocean. Remember it now and become one with the feeling of the element of water. And rest in the power and the beauty and the revitalizing forces of the element of water. And bless that memory, giving thanks for the beauty and the power and the element of water within you and outside of you. And And send a shaft of white light now up from the pelvic area, from the blue water orb. Send a shaft of white light up to the area surrounding the heart, to a beautiful red orb in the element of fire. And within the beautiful red orb is a clear quartz tetrahedron representing the element of fire. The tetrahedron has 4 equal triangles. And of every positive experience that you've had with fire, with a candle or fireplace, a rising or setting sun, warmth and heat, remember and experience now, and become one with the element of fire. And rest in the power and the beauty and the revitalizing force of fire. And bless that memory, giving thanks for the beauty and the power of the element of fire within you and outside of you. And now send a shaft of white light up from the heart center, up to the area encompassing your throat and your face and third eye, to a beautiful orb of lavender light, to the element of air. And within the lavender orb is a clear quartz crystal in the shape of a double pyramid, with the bases touching, an octahedron. And of every positive experience that you've had with breath, with air, with wind, remember one now, a gentle breeze, crispy cold air. Remember an experience now with air or wind, and become one with the element of air. And bless that memory, giving thanks for the beauty and the power of the element of air within you and outside of you. And now send a shaft of white light up from the lavender orb to an area about 6 inches above the top of your head, to an orb of white light, representing the element of spirit, the 5th element. And there is a clear quartz crystal form in the shape of a dodecahedron, 12 5-sided faces. And of every positive experience that you've had with spirit, with transcendence, with joy. Remember one now and become one with the element of spirit. And rest in the power and the beauty and the revitalizing force of spirit. And bless that memory, giving thanks for the beauty and the power of the element of spirit inside of you and all around. And now let's return our attention to our feet once again, to the earth energy, and to the orb of brown light at your feet. And see that orb spinning now. And as it spins, it attracts like a magnet the energy of earth to itself and to you. And the affirmation here at the earth orb is, I bless, I bless, I bless. And now focus your attention to the orb of blue light at the pelvic center, the water center. And imagine, sense, or feel that it is now spinning and attracting the element of water to itself and to you. And the affirmation is, I create, I create, I create. And now focus your attention to the orb of red light at the heart center, the element of fire. And see the orb of red light spinning and like a magnet attracting the energy of fire to itself and to you. And the affirmation is, I love, I love, I love. And now to the orb of lavender light in the area of your face and throat and third eye. See that lavender center for air spinning. And as it spins, it attracts like a magnet the element of air to itself and to you. And the affirmation is, I speak, I speak, I speak. And now to the orb of white light above the top of your head. The orb of white light, the spirit center. Imagine it spinning now, and as it does, it attracts the element of spirit to itself and to you. And the affirmation is, I am, I am, I am. Now feel the vibrations of the affirmations at the 5 centers, and imagine that those 5 centers are now spinning and attracting the energy of earth, of water, of fire, of air, and of spirit. And now that you've activated the 5 centers, the 5 elements of the middle pillar, begin to focus your attention at the top of your head to the spirit center. And imagine, sense, or feel that you are sending this energy from the spirit center down the right side of your body. And the energy gathers at your feet and goes up the left side of your body. And it gathers again at the top of your head, forming a great circuit of energy. And focusing your attention once again at the white orb spirit center at the top of your head. And this time imagine that as you are exhaling, you are sending the energy down the front of your body. And as you are inhaling, you're bringing it up the back of your body. Exhaling down the front. Inhaling up the back. Exhaling from the spirit center. Inhaling from the earth. And now focus your attention at your feet once more, at the brown orb. And this time, as you inhale, imagine, sense, or feel that you can bring this energy from deep in the earth, up through this middle pillar, up through all the centers, moving up through the orbs of earth, of water, of fire, air, and the spirit center. And imagine, sense, or feel the energy bursting out through the top of the spirit center like a great fountain of rainbow light. That cascades down to the earth as it washes and clears your entire auric field. And the energy at the earth center strengthens again and gathers again just below the feet, the brown orb. Inhale this energy up through the middle pillar, up through the centers of each of the elements. And as it reaches up to the spirit center, see it bursting out through the top of the spirit center like a fountain of cosmic light. And as you exhale, the light once again washes your aura. And now that you have stimulated your entire body with color, sound, crystals, and light, and with the circulating prana of the breath of life, if you choose, you can take this life-affirming energy, this healing energy, and direct it from your third eye to any part of you that needs to be released, balanced, or made whole once again. And see the transformative use of this middle pillar energy to change the energy around the thought as you release and let it go. And it is absorbed into the light itself and made whole. Mother, Father, God, Creator, we thank you for the blessings and the healings of the mind and the body and the spirit, and so it is. And as you're ready, begin to come back fully present where you are, sitting or lying, fully present, breathing, feeling your toes and your fingers, awakening to the room and your place, and coming totally wide awake in the present moment. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you. Thank you so much. Blessings on your evening.
So we do have a question coming in from Suzanne,
Okay.
and she's wondering, why is sacred geometry important nowadays?
Well, I can speak for myself that I find now more than ever I need to experience, observe, and witness positive things. And that is everywhere around us in the form of sacred geometry. There's a whole area of music and vibration and sound that, you know, is a whole area unto itself, but also of the source of sacred geometry. So it's personally for me, I find it a great healing experience to know that there is a greater mind, a greater intelligence, that all of this is really quite an illusion, and that I am uplifted to know that there is order and harmony throughout all existence. And that's a comfort.
So I think that's the only question.
Thank you so much for your presentation. You have referred at least a few times to goddesses, the females, in this presentation. I appreciate that a lot. But is there any special something that you would like to say about the female element and how this this is all interrelated, of course, and how this is coming about through the maybe female element of all of us and of the universe. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, if I understand you, you're asking what my sense is around the divine feminine.
Yep.
And in a way it relates, I think, to the other question, which is what and why in these times is sacred geometry useful? And for me, the dynamic of the divine feminine is really an aspect that is becoming more clear, more dynamic, more influential in our evolution right now. That for whatever reason, humans had to have a lot of will energy, creation, strength, survival, and now we have, in a way, the luxury of having survived and having a strong male dynamic, that now we can explore the softer, creative aspect of the divine feminine, which is powerful, of course, in its own way. Very, very different. This need for it to come into balance, like the two, you know, becoming back to the one, the unity and singularity of consciousness, where the separation into male and female is just another beautiful dynamic in balance. So I feel it's coming with the feminine needing to bring that balance so that we can all be whole again.
Right.
We have a lot of compliments, lots of people saying they really enjoyed it and thanking you so much for coming. We also have people asking about upcoming classes, and I don't know if we have dates, but we're definitely planning more sessions with you for the future.
Super.
And just to mention to everyone, we do have a meditation workshop on November 30th and a singing bowl session on December 14th. And those will both also be Mondays at 7:30 p.m. So if you'd like to come to either of those, you can just email us.
Beautiful.
In the name of the Garden of Light, I'm really, really touched by this presentation.
Thank you.
It's quite an experience to be here and to see that the Garden of Light is evolving in so many incredible ways that it's too much for me to express.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you.